I'm telling you, this whole thing is a Ponzi scheme. It's a money laundering scheme. It's going to come out. Mark my words. Market for a Crowder called it. Somewhere in the next 10 years, we're going to find out about the corruption and money laundering, funneling, washing that you see in podcasts with celebrities and politicians. Let's go to this money laundering scheme. I mean, podcasts for all of these.
It's a fair point.
I mean it. I think this whole thing is a. Remember how the Clintons would get $250,000 to speak in front of Goldman Sachs, right? It's just a way to buy influence. It's the same thing with these podcasts now. If you look at Michelle Obama, we're going to get to this in a second. They have these sponsors and they only have a few thousand plays. Right, a sponsor can pay, I don't know, 100,000. They can pay whatever.
They probably pay a lot.
Yeah, if someone's running an audit, they'll go, but that's not actually standard for this amount of viewers. They go, but we want to be associated with the Obamas. That's another way these people build up their massive wealth. It's not just insider trading, but the revenue and the influence and the coverage that you are seeing from these podcasts. Every single actor, every single producer, every single politician has a podcast these days. The influence doesn't match the views. The views are largely fraudulent. That's also why we say head on over to Rumble, because if nothing else, the views are real and the live viewers are real. Rumble is real. A lot of this is a parlor trick. So if you didn't know this, Michelle Obama, her brother, Craig Robinson, started a new podcast this week. It's called IMO. And sorry, that's the wrong podcast, but it's an easy mistake. Easy mistake to make. Here's actually, I believe, the trailer for the podcast.
I am Michelle.
And I am Craig.
And Craig here is my big brother. He's done a lot of everything in life: business, coaching, basketball, television. He's always been one of the very few people I can turn to whenever I need just about anything.
And you all know my sister Michelle, or Mish, as our family has always called her.
Do they?
We are so excited for you to listen to our brand new podcast. It's called IMO with Michelle Obama.
Wait. Hold on a second. Why is she dressed like she should be digging on the railway like Cool Hand Luke? What is this? Look.
Obviously, she's in jail.
What this podcast here has is a failure to communicate
to anyone.
So,
we'll get to that.
Debut episode. Astounding 41,000 plays. Aww. No word on the reception on Rumble yet. Here are some. Were you about to say something?
I'm just saying, you're right. That's the impetus for it, kind of money laundering.
That's what
also, they looked at the Joe Rogans and the Adam Carollas and said, hey, we don't do this. We got to get into this.
Yeah, I know.
That was part of it.
That's what they do.
I think.
But you'll look.
But it's not going to work.
It's not going to work, but they'll get a ton of money for it.
Yes.
That's the difference.
Right. Rich people.
Yeah. We actually have a list of the sponsors of the show. And again, it makes no sense. So 41,000 plays. Yeah. On the premiere episode. Usually you actually have a grace episode. Your first episode, there's that curiosity. So they'll have to chase the clicks and they'll have to have some controversial guests. But outside of that, the numbers will consistently most likely do this. Here are some highlights from the opening episode with Michelle Obama and Craig Robinson.
I was a bond trader, salesperson in investment banking. And
Pause. He looks like Pinot Noir from the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Yeah. Wow. That's who I thought he was.
Why does he get lipstick on?
Another gay black guy. I'm just joking. He has a kid straight as an arrow. Let's go back to the clip of the episode.
I was a bond trader, salesperson in investment banking and finance and big time job, really good living. And I was contemplating
suicide.
Stopping that to go be an assistant coach on a basketball team.
Is basically saying, I'm going to go from being a millionaire to working for nothing.
So you're a good person. We get it.
Our overall MO, both you and me.
And I would get ready early.
Really? Oh, that's your MO? But instead you decided to start banging a junior senator about whom we knew nothing and became president. So I guess you went a different direction. Yeah. Let's continue with the propaganda.
Keep them company.
Well, Barack, he had to adjust to what on time was for me.
Because he was on that island time.
Well, but, I've got
translation, black people are late.
When it's time to leave, it's 3 o'clock, he's getting up and going to the bathroom.
What, Alcatraz?
Like, dude, like 3 o'clock departure means you've done all that. Just get me out of here. I'm standing with my father.
Oh, yeah, prison jokes.
Telling these stupid jokes, next to a turkey. So by the time we got to the last turkey pardoning, they were done. They were just like, I'm out. I'm not going.
Okay, so we get it. The kids would rather be doing something. You can't always be smoking weed at Coachella. So At least, and here's where we get to, I believe it's money laundering. In my opinion is, if you are a current politician, if you're a president, if you're a senator, if you're a governor, you should not be allowed to have sponsorships on a podcast or host people who are seeking elected office.
Why?
It's a problem.
Why?
I'm telling you exactly why. Because people can use it to funnel money to you.
They do.
There's
They do.
arbitrary.
They have ways to do that already. Why?
Also, they can then curry favor as far as policy. It opens you up to all kinds of insider trading. For crying out loud, we
already do everything you just said.
Great, so make it worse, the reverse nirvana fallacy. Also, how many politicians reach out to us and go like, hey, if you have us on, we'll do X, Y, Z. That's why we have very, very few of them on. Very, very few of them on. If you are a governor and you have a leg up, where, by the way, you can also get a bunch of funding from either NGOs or these nonprofits that prop up this podcast, you can then put your hands on the scales as far as the next election for a senator, the next election for a representative of the House.
They already do
All right, Gerald.
No, what I'm saying is,
let governors have podcasts and make millions of dollars in fraudulent advertising and guarantee that they'll maintain their position.
Nice straw manning of my position, but what I was going to say is actually make it public. So I agree with you that this is rife for corruption. Fine, we're on the same page there. Make all of what they get paid from sponsors public. Make all of the associations with any guests public. Because you're saying that they could bring a guest on and tip the scales. They could do that anyway. They could associate with. They could go on somebody else's podcast with this guy and prop him.
I don't think they should be in broadcast. I think if you're going to be a public servant, you should be giving up that other aspect of your life to serve the public.
I like them being able to talk directly to the public.
They should. You can talk with someone. You can talk to the audience. You can go on, talk by yourself, or answer questions from your voters. Going on there and bumping elbows with other politicians, with other celebrity influencers, and collecting.
Every time he talks, I love it.
A podcast isn't much different than a radio show, and we know how liberal radio shows have gone in the past.
Well, that's fair.
Well, that's fair. And again, because it's alternative media. Yeah. They've had a stranglehold on media. Right. But here's the thing. No views, no interest, no fans, but that doesn't change the fact that the sponsorships are top tier.
This episode is brought to you by Rivian and Pine Sol.
This episode of IMO is brought to you by Cologuard, a non-invasive colon cancer screening test. The Cologuard test is a one-of-a-kind way to feel more in control of your colon cancer screening.
Oh, I thought he said
Cologuard. Prescription-based test with none of the prep that's required of a colonoscopy.
That didn't work.
This episode of IMO is sponsored by Chase Home Lending, committed to supporting you all the way home with smart digital home buying tools and resources.
Why is he dressed like Dr. Zayas?
See that, by the way? Chase, Chase, the place that debanked wrong thinkers. Oh, exactly, great. Yeah, of course they want to bump elbows, and God knows how much they paid for a podcast that has 40,000 views.
I bet it was insanely priced.
That's bad, right?
Yeah, and you want to know how you know it's propaganda? Remember Diageo? They control 80% of the world's advertising. They told Rumble that unless Rumble removed our show, they would never advertise.
The platform, even though they didn't have to advertise on our show.
Even though they know that views are real on Rumble.
Yeah.
It's like magazines for a long time. As they were dying, they were just buying up subscriptions from each other so that they could sell magazine ads. I'm telling you, this whole thing is a Ponzi scheme. It's a money laundering scheme. It's going to come out. Mark my words. Mark it for a Crowder called it. Somewhere in the next 10 years, we are going to find out about the corruption and money laundering, funneling, washing that you see in podcasts with celebrities and politicians. But enough about the...
You think it's going to be around 10 years from now? What are you, high?
The industry will, not these people.
No, Radio Free America. Yeah. Come on. It did great.
They're going to collect a bunch of money and pass. Let's go to Gavin Newsom. So, he's the governor of California, in case you've forgotten. Now he has...
Also a podcaster.
Yeah, he does. He has enough spare time, apparently, when he's not paying for bronze busts of himself.
It's true.
Exactly.
So according to the podcast description, it's time to have honest discussions with people that agree and disagree with us. It's time to answer the hard questions and be open to criticism and debate without demeaning or dehumanizing one other. Did he write one other or one another? I don't know. I could be a typo here. So here's something. You just said the key word in there is honest. Honest.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to have a rapid fire fact check for you because this one is, whoa. It's one that is so bad, the claims that he makes, especially when you take into account the description that he added with more false claims. I woke up and I asked myself, did I dream that? Did I dream that? He didn't actually say that, did he? No, he actually did. Gavin Newsom claimed with, I believe, Mike Savage on the show, that Florida taxes are actually overall are overall higher than California. He was saying, actually, California, we actually have lower taxes on middle-class Californians. And actually, the quality of life and cost of living is better in California. Well, you know what? Don't take my word for it. here he is actually saying this with a straight face.
We have the highest tax rate, but not the highest taxes in America.
Who has a higher state tax?
Tax rate. The vast majority of people are not you. They're not the 1%, which means 99% of other people
So
pay
I'm
different
subsidizing
taxes.
them.
No, but at the end, well, we'll get to that. But the bottom line, places like you use Florida, they tax their low-wage workers more than we tax our high-wage
Gavin,
workers.
I shouldn't be punished for succeeding.
And he posted it on X where he talked about, I don't know if you have this, he talked about more expensive energy costs in Florida.
Excuse me, who was that? Was that
Savage,
right?
Savage, yeah.
So there's his post.
Higher taxes on poorest families, he says. Higher energy bills, meaning Florida. Higher car insurance bills. Lower wages. Higher uninsured rates. So he adds all of that on top of that claim that actually people pay far more taxes in Florida. Okay, let me go through this because I know you're thinking he must be basing it on some truth. He's not. Income tax, Florida, none. California, their top rate, 13.5%, 13.3. Sales tax. So you might think, okay, maybe there's no income tax.
Right.
But I bet you the sales tax. Okay, Florida, the average, 6.9%. California, 8.8%.
Ooh.
Now you might be thinking, okay, well, property tax. That's the one where there's a slight, in Florida, it's 0.79 on average. In California, it's 0.71. But again, if you look at the average home price, it's almost twice the amount. Florida, 433,000. California, 869,000, which also means that low-wage workers are far less likely to ever own a home. He tweeted out higher energy bills. This is another one. This is the lie. Again, you have to believe that he's either really, really stupid or you understand that he's lying to you. In Florida, there are obviously greater heating bills, right? It's very temperate in California. A lot of people don't even have air conditioning in California if they live close enough to the water and you're, let's say, in San Diego. In Florida, it's humid. It's mucky. Let's look at the cents per kilowatt hour. Florida, it's 14.2. Yeah, there you go. I'm reading this here. California, more than double. 30.55.
Well, hold on. Lower wage workers don't pay for electricity or things like sales tax, right?
Right, exactly.
So it's not going to hit them.
So higher sales tax,
They shoplift.
income tax,
Okay, yeah.
higher energy costs, and then of course you also have gas prices. Florida averages about $3. California averages closer to $5.
Okay.
$4.67.
Jeez.
He talked about car insurance. The only difference, okay, Florida, it's about $4,000. California, it's $3,000. But you have hurricanes in Florida. You have and plus you also have old people.
Old Jew drivers.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, fine. You got us on car insurance.
Yeah,
You really wanna
exactly.
hang your hat on that one?
Yeah. It's actually what's funny is he said uninsured. I don't know what he means. The rate of uninsured drivers in Florida is about 15.9%. In California, it's 17, so it is higher.
Maybe he meant like health insurance?
Maybe he did. I don't know. The bottom line is there is no case to be made that California taxes its people less than Florida. Now, I'm giving you all those numbers, but really there's only one that matters. Net loss of population in California, net gain in Florida. Okay, so what people are living, this is why the left can't sustain itself and they have to switch their messaging. Because it doesn't track with reality. And at a certain point, when your entire state says, yeah, this isn't working, and you're looking at a net loss versus a net gain of hundreds of thousands of people, it's no longer anecdotal.
And businesses, too.
And businesses, of course.
Huge.
Yeah.
Not to mention, by the way, things like COVID death rates. Florida had 34.4 per 100,000 people. And in California, somehow, even though Florida is the oldest place on earth,
true.
in California it was 37.8. How do you have more people die in California than Florida? Florida is death's waiting room.
Yeah, because you have people coming over from countries where they haven't even cured dandruff. That's why. You know?
They're just saying the Somalis don't have Selsun Blue.
That's exactly right.
Never wear black without the blue.
Never be black without the blue.
And then here's another one, and I just wish that people held this guy more accountable because he's charming and he gets away with that. He was speaking with Charlie Kirk, and I was hoping he would be pressed on the COVID deaths and on the COVID lockdowns for schools. He threw out a compliment and then they moved on.
Literally last night, trying to put my son to bed. He's like, no, Dad, what time? What time's Charlie going to be here? What time? And I'm like, dude, you're in school tomorrow. He's 13. He's like, no. This morning, wakes up at 6 something. He's like, I'm coming. I'm like, he literally would not leave the house.
Did you let him take off school?
No, he did. Of course not. He's not here for a good reason. But the point is
you canceled school for like 2 years. Once one day.
The point is the
but now watch.
which is you are making a damn dent.
Thank you. I'm kidding.
No, but I know, I appreciate that. I mean, it's the reason you're here.
No, Charlie Kirk does that, but I would be
Pretty
like, oh, well, thank you for the compliment. But seriously, why did you destroy children's schooling for years to come? An entire generation? I'm not kidding.
Not kidding at all. It was a great point. We were like, oh, Charlie Kirk goes in. Yes, good.
My son likes you.
No!
It's okay.
No!
So
I'm just kidding. Like me.
I just, and this guy is going to handpick the people he sits down and talks with. He doesn't want anything to do with people like, Anyway. Let's go on to another podcast, unless anyone has more to add there, Gavin Newsom. That's going to be a cornucopia of material for us. Anthony Mackie. Don't say who. He's the new Captain America, but you don't care. So he had some, viral moments on the Pivot podcast. Now, let me just say something here. I like what he said in this first clip, where he discusses masculinity. It doesn't really surprise me when you understand in the black community in America, they actually appreciate traditional gender roles far more. They haven't been guilted into hating them yet. But then, of course, he can't help himself from corroding Western values in his discussions about success. First, here's the good. Mackie's take on masculinity.
In the past 20 years, we've been living through the death of the American male. They have literally killed masculinity in our homes and our communities for one reason or another. But I raised my boys to be young men. And however you feel about that, you feel about that. Right. But my boys will always be respectful. They will always say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. No, sir, no, ma'am. They will always say thank you. They will always open a door for a lady. They will always make sure that their mother is taken care and provided for. They will always
beat them in an elevator.
And that's always since they were 2 years old.
Oh, he's the one that raises boys like that.
15-year-old, you're the man of the house. Yeah. You make sure these doors are locked every night. This alarm is on. You text me or you call me every night before you go to bed and you wake up.
I love that.
Because we're men.
I love it.
If I'm not there to protect, he got to be there to protect. Because you can have all the money in the world, climb through the window, that money means nothing. Right. You can have all the celebrity in the world, jump through the door, that celebrity means nothing. So for me, it's always that idea of American masculinity is very different.
Yeah, I agree with everything he just said. And you know what? If we could get back to that. Now, I have no idea if he practices all of it or everyone on that panel, but I agree with that. He left out the little tidbit as they will always say yes or sir, because if they don't, mom beats the shit out of them. Have you ever seen that in public where a kid's like, and then mom, what? And smacks him, whereas a white mom will be like, hey, excuse me, you really, I think that you need to be more respectful. Like, screw you, mom, go to hell. Like, well, I hear that you're not feeling very heard right now. Well, I think a smack, works.
I am with you on that.
So I agree with that. I agree with everything that he just said. But now he can't help but after DEIing his way into Captain America and saying that he didn't really think Captain America was about America or something, he just can't help himself from going full leftist on the idea of merit and success.
We're lying to our kids, dog. And I think that's a big problem in our community. We tell our kids that and this is fresh on my heart. Like, I literally just came to this conclusion last night. We tell our kids if they do right and they make the good grades and they go to the programs and they will become successful. If you work hard enough, your work will be paid off. And that's not true. Success is given. It's not earned. Because you can be the most brilliant. If one person don't tap you, each one of y'all. There were people who could hit harder, who could catch better, who could run faster.
Nope.
But somebody said, you.
Not true.
You're the one.
Maybe for actors.
And the other 50 behind you fell off. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And
they
because of that, I don't know what that emotion or that feeling is the scary thing. Because I went to all the programs. I've done Broadway. I've done off-Broadway. I've been in the business 24 years. I've been in 2 Academy Award films. I've done independent films.
You're arguing against yourself,
major motion
stupid.
pictures. Now I'm Captain America. So now what?
Yeah, here's the thing. Not only is he incorrect, outside of, like I've said, the exception is actors. Kind of like there's no rape culture in the United States. The exception is Hollywood. And maybe DC. No, in the United States, it's merit-based. The exception is Hollywood. There are very few other jobs in which the primary qualification is your facial structure and you have no ability to change it, right? It's basically a birthright. The success in Hollywood for a lot of people, sure, there's some talent, sure, there's working, but a lot of it is luck. It's not the same thing in starting an oil rig. It's not the same thing in learning a trade. It's not the same thing in starting a franchise business in the middle of Oklahoma. It is not. But he just told an entire generation of kids, hey, doesn't matter what you do, you have no control over your own destiny, which not only is morally reprehensible, but I understand because he has to be a professional victim considering that he's a multimillionaire for something he hasn't earned. It's also the exact opposite of what he just said regarding success 1 month ago.
It means everything. I mean, look, my grandfather was a sharecropper. My dad was a roofer, and I'm Captain America. Benjamin E. Mays said, we study agriculture so that our kids can study math and science, so that our grandkids can study the arts. That's the American dream.
So it sounds like you're saying work really hard so you can help your kids have a better life. But why? Considering that success is not earned, none of that matters, right? It's whether some wealthy white guy picks you or not. No, it's not about how fast you throw a ball. It's not about your hitting average. It's about someone choosing you for success. That may be the case, Mr. First Black Captain America. That may be the case that someone picked you because they wanted to socially engineer. It may be the case that you fill a quota, but it's not the case across the rest of this country, and that's why the voting patterns are so different in Hollywood and DC, in media, and the rest of the country.
This is probably, if not the most, it is absolutely right there in top 1 or 2 most corrosive things that you can tell, especially the black community right now. Doesn't matter how hard you work. Doesn't matter if you put the effort in and go to the classes and do all these things. If you don't get picked, you're not going to be successful. One, define what success is, because you can get ahead by working hard. Some people may have more talent than you. Some people may have better lucky breaks than you. I get it. Some people may catch a coach's eye. Sometimes that turns out to be a real bad thing, by the way, if you're in middle school and your coach has a big, glass window in the basketball locker room like mine did. Yeah. But you can catch a coach's eye in a good way as well and get a scholarship somewhere and not have to earn it. That is the worst thing that you can possibly tell the black community, is that success is not earned. You're not lying to people. And by the way, the examples that you used, football, we put people accused of murder on the field because they're the fastest people and the hardest hitters. Ray Rice punched his wife and tried to get back on. We had Michael Vick, who did dog fighting, got another chance because he was so talented and good. Are you sitting there in a room of football players saying there were people that were faster than you and could hit harder? And they're like, no, there wasn't.
No, there wasn't.
No, I was one of the best. And guess what? The minute that I wasn't one of the best, they went out and got the best. And I became a former NFL football player.
Yeah.
And they have a ton of examples.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The Tiger Woods didn't work hard. Or even LeBron James, who I hate.
For success.
You know what? The guy worked his ass off.
He also has a great chemist.
But I mean, that is the most insane statement. Like you said, so corrosive.
Yeah. No, I get. And by the way, let me show you in real time. And usually we do chat Thursday today, but we're going to do a Hardly Legal with Bill Richmond because we do have a big announcement. We'll be taking chats tomorrow, so we're going to continue this. But I'll tell you, there are real world consequences to this.
Yeah.
And you have an entire generation of largely young black Americans. You have the flip side with white people where they think, hey, maybe I didn't deserve this. They work really, really hard, earn their keep, and then think, yeah, but it must just be privilege. Then you have a lot of young black Americans who, because of DEI, who because of affirmative action, will never truly believe in themselves again. That is what Mackie is saying with that message. Don't believe in yourself because there's nothing you can do. And here's one woman, one young lady, who bought it. I remember this.
You should be able to go to any college.
Right.
It's just, I don't know.
Did you work hard?
Oh, yes, sir, I did.
And you wanted to go to UT?
Yes, sir, I did.
That makes me happy. That's what I want to see.
It's just...
And I don't want to see it because you go here because you're black.
Yeah.
I want you to know that it's because you worked hard. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's a racism of soft expectations. Imagine if you're a black student who didn't score so well, right? Had a lower SAT score, didn't score so well, and you know that you're in the university as a diversity applicant. Mm-hmm. That's self-doubt, and that's what I'm saying. I don't want you to have it. To me, it seems so sad to have for the rest of your life to go, man, did I really deserve this spot? And she didn't know.
Yeah.
She wasn't able to answer if she did. You guys think that's a good thing? We used to want public figures to be inspiring, if nothing else. Yeah. Not dishonest, but in this case, he's uninspiring and inaccurate. That's the worst combination humanly possible. Hey, if you're still watching, you can click my face or this box next to me, which may bring you to another video, or it's going to bring you to another video. It'll play another video. But if you like this, it'll be one that you like. And if you didn't like this, you know, everyone deserves a second chance.